Thank you for joining another episode of PBC Warriors. My name is Takoya Urbina, and I am the Communications Manager for PBC Awareness. And today we have with us one of our most engaged followers, Ms. Vera Dormady. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
You did.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your health journey with our community. It's important for us to hear from our followers and for our followers to get to know each other. So, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It really is an honor to be able to share my story and perhaps help some other people in the process.
Awesome. So, we're going to dive right in. Would you mind starting with the beginning, how you discovered that you had PBC, what that initial introduction to the disease was?
Well, it was quite a long time ago. I was first diagnosed in 1975. So I've had PBC for 52 years. Uh, And back when I was diagnosed, it was not even the doctors really knew much. I was diagnosed first through blood work and given a bottle of pills and sent home. And basically, that was it. I had to kind of research for myself and because I didn't know what it meant for my lifestyle or what was going to happen to me. And there was not a lot of information. Of course, there was no internet and no social media back then where you could go and find anything out. So it was really up to me to go look for answers because even the doctors didn't have anything much to say.
So, were you able to find any physicians or medical resources that were able to provide you with clarity on your disease?
It took quite a while. Basically, and I first found out I was living in Memphis, Tennessee at the time. And then when I came here to Jackson, I just had a regular physician. And so when I moved here to Jacksonville, Florida, then I got a gastroenterologist. And he diagnosed me through a liver biopsy and told me at that point in time I was in stage 2 cirrhosis. And I remember taking a bottle of, after, a little bit of conversation. He too wasn't forthcoming with a lot of information. So I remember one appointment taking in a lot of supplements because I'd gone on and done a lot of research as much as I could. And and I brought them into his office and he just threw them in the trash because at that time he said, anything extra that you take is just going to hurt your liver. So you can't take anything other than the ursodiol.
Mm,
So it was, I had a lot of questions and didn't have a lot of answers and didn't have whole lot of people, didn't have anywhere to turn. And, doctors were dismissive and my own family didn't believe me. My mother
mm,
thought it was because I drank or something. And I mean, at the age of 22, it was that's very, very young. And so
mm,
I was distanced even by my own family.
mm. Wow. So
Yeah.
how did that ostracization from your family and the dismissiveness from the medical institution affect you mentally throughout your journey of understanding the disease?
Well, I couldn't understand why my body was turning against me. I had been an athlete in high school. I was a classically trained ballerina,
Mm,
and I was very physically fit. And now all of a sudden, I've got this rare disorder and my body's turning against me and I don't really know what's going on and I don't understand all the symptoms and certainly didn't understand the long range effect that it was going to have on my life, which has been extensive, to say the least. Uh,
So, what did he do, or how did you cope with that disconnect? Did you meditate? Did you lean on a support system? How did you get through that?
um, Basically, back in those days, I just kind of fought my way through it on my own. And I mean, I showed up when I could. And I tried to explain to people, I've got this autoimmune disease, but of course, the answer came back, but you look fine.
Mhm.
So, what could possibly be that bad or be wrong, really wrong with you? And that was difficult to fight. And, you get that even today, people, when they first hear that I've got a chronic autoimmune disease, they're like, but you look fine. So that's always been difficult. And then when the fatigue started getting bad and other autoimmune diseases started stacking up because PBC, makes you susceptible to so many other autoimmune diseases like Sjogren's and things like that. So it was really just doing a lot of research, and it wasn't until lately, I'd say in the past few years, that I found a community of people online who are like me. And I
Mhm.
was just like, oh my gosh, there's finally some people to talk to, And and I found out that, I'm like the only person I know that's still alive with the disease without a liver transplant.
Mm.
So it's been quite a journey and quite a long journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you been able to connect with any other PBC patients in your region or your area in person?
As a matter of fact, after watching Jacqueline McPhee's interview, I texted her because she lives in Orlando, Florida. And so I texted her, and it was actually the first person, other than speaking to people through Facebook or TikTok, that I got to actually speak to someone, in person and talk to them about our shared experiences. And it felt really great to be able to talk to
Awesome.
somebody and have a name and a face and somebody who understood because she has stage 4 just like I do.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That is beautiful that you were able to connect with Miss Jacqueline and that we
it
helped
was
to
great.
facilitate that
You
by
did.
that's great. Oh my God.
You
That
did.
that makes this whole journey that we're doing as an organization that validates that what we're doing is important. And it's people
Absolutely.
like you that take the initiative to get out there and meet each other. That's beautiful.
Right. I really yeah, I was really excited to talk to her and we will continue to communicate and hopefully be able to meet up with each other one day.
That's beautiful. Okay, so you mentioned that you were on URSA. There are many patients that they don't handle or it doesn't work as well as expected, and then they have to move on to second line treatments. Was that your experience, or did you do well on URSA?
No, as a matter of fact, for the past 51 years, my alkaline phosphatase has always been high. When I was first diagnosed, it was around 1250.
Mm.
and the cutoff is like 150. So it was astronomically high. And I only had URSO. And so for up until the first of this year, my alkaline phosphatase remained in the 400s. Sometimes we dip down into the 300s, but it never normalized.
Mm,
And then the first of this year, I had started seeing a hepatologist with Cleveland Clinic and gone through the transplant to see if I was eligible for a transplant. But my MELD score was very low, and they actually said I wasn't sick enough, and
mm,
it would probably do me more harm than good if I did get a liver transplant at this point. But they thought I was a good candidate since I was still compensated, except for the fact that I do have hepatic encephalopathy. I was still compensated, so they started me on Livdelzi and
okay.
started doing labs every month. And I was on it for 2 weeks before I had my first lab test. And when that test came back at 170, I was blown away. I
Wow.
just was like, oh my God, I am so blessed to be able to have gotten this drug and it seems to be working. And then I got my second set of labs done. And for the first time in my life, my alkaline phosphatase was normal at
Wow.
135.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
this has just been recently. As a matter of fact, yesterday I spoke to the people at Orsini because the medicine is very expensive and very hard to get a hold of. There's only three places in the United States where you can actually get the drug. And Orsini Pharmacy is one of the specialty pharmacies that handles it. And so when I told them, they called yesterday for my refill, and I told them about the fact that I had finally gotten, my alkaline phosphatase was normal for the first time in 52 years. And they were ecstatic about it and asked if they could share that with Orsini and if they minded if Orsini called me. And I said, absolutely not. I'd love to share it with them. So I've just been, I feel like I'm really blessed, really
Mhm.
blessed.
So if you could make any suggestions or recommendations to the medical industry, the physicians, what would you want to impart to them that's important to you?
Um, First thing that I'd want to do is you go to so many different specialists, because you have this autoimmune disease or this autoimmune disease. So you end up seeing not only a liver specialist, but maybe a rheumatologist or an eye doctor for Sjogren's or whomever. So it's just a succession of different trips to different doctors all over the place. Meanwhile, a good night's sleep doesn't do anything for the overall fatigue that is just like walking through wet cement every day. So the first thing that I think would be helpful if they would treat the whole person instead of just looking at the different parts, look at you and treat you as a whole individual instead of just a bunch of body parts.
Mm,
And because even when your labs look good, that doesn't necessarily match up with what's going on inside you.
mm,
Like my ammonia levels have never appeared in my blood work to be high or to be, they always come back normal. And CT scans always come back normal. So it took them over 2 years to be able to diagnose with me with the fact that I did have hepatic encephalopathy.
mm,
It was all in my head, or maybe they thought I was having a stroke the first couple of times I went in. I had come home from church, I'd forgotten how to feed my dog. I didn't know my name and I couldn't speak. So
Mm,
they assessed me for stroke. My husband rushed me to the hospital. And so for 2 years, doctors didn't even, know what was going on there. And a lot of times after I'd get there and they would stabilize me and I'd be fine, walking out the door 2 hours later, and everybody's thinking like, it must be in her head or something like that. So I'd also push for better education, for doctors to be able to educate themselves more and and educate their patients as well
mm,
on what the disease means, what the progression of it means, what effects it's going to have on your life, your
mm,
lifestyle, because it it's all encompassing. I mean, even in your marriage, your partner turns into your caregiver after a
mm,
while, and that changes the entire dynamic. So that's an excuse me, that's another thing that I would definitely want. And also for them to be able to find a way to diagnose it earlier and be able to start doing something about it earlier, not waiting 52 years before
mm,
they put on a second line of medication to see if it'll work.
mm,
Nobody ever, that could have been done years ago. And I know that Livdelzi is a new medication, but I know there's another one out there that's been out there for a while. But that was never made an
mm,
option to me. I didn't know anything about it.
mm.
So,
Yeah, that's that's
and
unfortunate.
yeah, and that also that when that they take the fatigue very seriously
Mm,
because it's devastating what it does to you. And I mean, a good night's sleep is just, like I said, not enough sometimes.
mm,
And you wake up and you don't know from one day to the next how you're going to feel. It's
right.
like you want to volunteer for something or you want to do something. And I've had to pull back from so many things because one day I feel fine, and the next 3 days I feel awful and I can't
Mm,
hardly move and I can't think straight.
mm.
So
Does the Livdelzi help with the fatigue, or it just regulates
it just
the
reg it
okay.
just regulates your enzymes, although I do feel like systemically my body
Mm,
is working better now.
mm,
And like my digestive system is working better. I did do like a gut brain reset diet
mm.
for 72 days with a functional chiropractor. And that also kind of helped reset because
Okay.
your gut and your brain,
Mm,
that's a connection that most people don't realize how
mm,
important that is. And so that's another thing people need to be educated on as well, how much it matters what you eat
mm,
and what you take and how you care for yourself.
mhm. Do you have a specific diet that you eat?
Well, I've always liked, I was a chef for 30 years. So I've always eaten healthy. I've never eaten fast foods or a lot of fried food. Even though I grew up in the South and I love fried chicken. But I know better than to eat things like that. I've cut red meat out of my diet because that increases the ammonia level in your
Mhm,
blood. And of course, your liver can't filter out those toxins that get stuck in your head. And then you can't think straight and you can't remember things. And I mean, it's from one day to the next. And so I ate a lot of vegetables. I ate really healthy chicken, fish, and lots of veggies, lots of green veggies.
mhm. Is there any recommendations or advice that you would like to share with other PBC patients?
Um, just that, um, I've heard it said you're more likely to die with it than from it. And for people that who are maybe getting diagnosed at a young age or just recently diagnosed, when I see them post on Facebook, I just got diagnosed with PBC, and they're freaking out and they don't know what it means for them. And so I, since I have all this experience with it, I'm able to like calm them down and let them know, listen, this is not a death sentence. You will be fine, and you can be fine, and you can live a good life. It's not maybe going to be the one that you thought you were going to live, but you still can have a good full life and
Mhm,
be able to do the things that you want to do to a certain extent.
mhm,
But you do have to be cognizant of the fact that you're going to have to care for yourself in a different way, and you may have to have help doing that along the way as well. So, yeah.
and for caregivers, what would you like for those who are taking care of their loved ones who are going through this process? What would you like to share with them?
Um, just, I know it's hard to watch someone you love go through something that you can't understand really totally. Um, but, for them to be as compassionate as they possibly can and to really do research on their own and join a caregiving community for themselves because that's a hard job, and it's important that they take care of themselves so they can take care of you.
Mhm,
If they get all burnt out, that doesn't help you any. And if they get short-tempered or because you forgot to do something, turn off the stove or do a certain thing, and it's not your fault,
mhm.
so compassion and education for themselves and taking care of themselves.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with our
Welcome.
audience. How can other PBC patients or caregivers who are in your area or around the country, how can they connect with you?
I'm on Facebook under my own name, Vera Dormady. And I've joined several of the PBC communities as well as yours. And I'm always willing to be able to, and I go on, several times a week and try to connect, especially with people who've been recently diagnosed, who are very young, and try to educate them as much as I can. Of course, I'm not a physician, but there's things that I can suggest
Mhm,
that they can ask their doctor and pass it through them and see, because there are supplements that we do need actually, and the doctors used to say, no, 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 don't take that. But because our bodies don't produce everything that we need. So there are a lot of things that we can do to help ourselves out. And I'm more than happy to talk to people about that at any time. I love
awesome.
helping people out. I feel that's part of my mission at this point.
Well, we're very fortunate to have you. We're
Thank you
very
so much.
fortunate.
Thank you so much. I'm fortunate to have come across you and the website and the work that you're doing. And I hope to be a bigger part of the community and to advocate as much as I can for
Oh,
people that have this disease.
we do have a spot. We're always looking for regional PBC patient ambassadors, and I can definitely go over what that entails
Okay.
later. But if you're
Wonderful.
interested, we do not have anyone currently in the South.
Oh,
So
wow. Hello, I'm here.
well, I will connect with you and we can discuss more. We definitely would love to have you on board as a PBC patient ambassador representing the great state of Florida. And
Wonderful.
thank you so much.
That's
Um,
awesome.
if our audience is interested in knowing more information about PBC awareness and how you can volunteer, please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. This has been our episode of PBC Warriors, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.